I will now be covering brand guidelines and accessibility. For brand guidelines, the AAP Lab website template that you see here was made with Cornell and AAP branding in mind. The only leading logo should be the AAP logo that you see at the top left-hand corner. The name of your lab should only be present in text. So please refrain from uh, adding in any additional logos or lockups that you might have created. And this is just to keep in line with Cornell branding, AAP branding, as well as maintaining the overall image of the lab websites when they're displayed together. We want them to be uh, somewhat consistent as far as the layout and design, but the content obviously will be subject to what you supply from your lab endeavors. Going over accessibility, again, we worked with the heads of accessibility to make sure that each lab website template is ready to go with minimal effort on your part to make sure that things are accessible. There are a couple of things that we want to point out and that we would probably need your assistance in making sure that things run smoothly as far as an accessibility standpoint is concerned. So we already have images that are supplied with alternative text. Every other field is accounted for as far as accessibility is concerned. But there are instances where the accessibility is out of our control. So I'm going to go to this project page as an example. And you might have heard me explain this in another video, but just to touch on it a bit deeper. Um, for instance, we've seen some Mapbox interactive maps that are not accessible. In this case, this particular map, the Clarence Stein Institute of Urban and Landscape Studies, the interactive database viewer, we know that this leaflet map, this interactive database, is not accessible. And so one of the things that we are able to do in order to, one of the things that we have to do in order to keep this interactive is we must supply data in plain text via a hyperlink. And so what this means is if I go to the Clarence website on the actual Cornell website, we have it displayed as such. So we don't actually have the interactive database embedded on our website. We have it here, which is fine. But we also need to supply this text-only version of the database, which is really an HTML file that is showing all of the data that can be used in alternative modes of viewing. So that was the way that we got around to making sure that we were accessible compliant. And so we've built in some tools to allow that, to achieve that on our lab website. So this embedded lab map, although is inaccessible, it lacks the features that make sure that it's accessible. We would just need to supply the data in plain text. Again, if you don't want to supply the data or you don't have the data and it's not your particular map or it's not your particular interactive component, there's an alternative to this where you can supply an image which links out to an external website. So for this example, we have a picture of a Mapbox map. But because we do not have the data and because we need to make sure that we're accessible compliant, we need to link out. So by just having an image and linking out, we can do that. Again, you can also add a caption and hyperlink the text. If you did have the data and you just don't want it to be interactive, this is also an option. So that I just wanted to point that out, that there are alternative methods of displaying interactive components, such as providing an image, an external link, or supplying the data itself. And one final note, just for accessibility, all images must have alternative text. Again, we've created this lab template in a way to where no matter what image you upload, you must supply alternative text. So that really shouldn't be an issue. But just wanted to touch up on it once more. And that's all of the accessibility and brand guidelines that I wanted to cover. If you have any other additional questions, please feel free to email the email address up above, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. Thank you.